Hey, it's been a bit of time, but welcome back to Blender for Designers. And even though I haven't been here in a few months, I actually managed to get 1,000 subscribers, so wow. And thanks everyone, enjoy. And today we're going to take a box and open it. I'll play that again. We're opening the box. So this will teach us a number of cool things about animation, basic rigging, and the Solidify modifier. So let's get started. Alright, so I got a brand new Blender window here. And first of all, I'm going to change this to cycles. Going to get rid of the default light, and we're going to keep the default cube, but we're not going to call it cube, we're going to call it box. Alright, so now to open this box, pretty simple. Tab into edit mode, get the face select version tool, hit X, only faces. Boop, okay, now it's open. You got an open box, you're done. Oh wait, we're not done. Alright, first thing I want to do is get the center to the bottom. So we're going to go to front view, and we're in edit mode, so we're just going to bring side panel up and then just make this one height. Alright, so now let's get these tabs extruded. So we're going to make these tabs. We're going to go extrude in Z, EZ. Let's do it half a Blender unit. So we're going to take this up to 2.5. And then same thing here. You have to do this separately, otherwise it'll extrude the whole top. So extrude in Z, and then up, and then 2.5. Boop. Alright, and then we got to extrude this back bit, and normally we'd extrude it so it covers the whole thing. You know, you got to have a little flap there. But we actually want to extrude it so we don't want to quite cover the whole thing. So we're going to extrude, we're actually going to extrude in Y here. So EY, and then almost to the top, and then not quite. Alright, and then we actually want this to face straight up, at least for now. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to hit that, say cursor to actives, not cursor to active, and then going to select these 2 points. Going to rotate to the 3D cursor. Where'd it go? Rotate to 3D cursor. RX minus 90. Boop. Okay, perfect. All right, and then so we want a little tab on the tab. So we're going to go extrude in Y, just a bit. And then you want to curve that in, so we extrude in Y again, and then scale in Y. Sorry, scale in X, medium point. So, extrude in Y again, scale in X, extrude in Y again, scale in X, and then clean it up a bit. So you got a nice little tab there. Great, and then with these, we want to scale them in so they actually look like tabs. So, we'll scale in Y. And there you go. Looks kind of like an open box, doesn't it? Alright, now we'll unwrap it and get my pretty art on there. Of course, you don't need to put seams on the top because it's open already. We do need one on the side, and we also need it on the bottom. Boop, boop, boop. We'll do another right-leaning one. Let's go to UVs, mark seam. Alright, and then let's get our little UV image editor. Alright, then we're going to go to front, 5, A, unwrap. And oh my god, if that doesn't look like a set of die lines. That actually is, you could print that out, and if you put some little tabs on here, you could actually just fold that up. Does this mean that you can use Blender to do packaging design? Sure, why not? Alright, so we need these in Illustrator. So we're going to UVs, export UV layout right here. And we're going to call this layout UV. And then one thing I hate is that they put opacity here, so I'm going to turn that to 0. And we'll do this 2048 by 2048, doesn't matter. Then bring that into Illustrator. And so that's going to be a square image, so we need a new square image. And I'm just going to do this 7 by 7 inches, so it's a reasonable size. And then I'm going to place that layout here, right there. Going to need to scale down. And then I'm going to hit Command U to turn on guides, to turn on whatever these things are called, auto guides or whatever they're called, so that I'm scaling so I'm going exactly here. There we go. That should do it. Alright, great. So now we got our die lines. And I actually already created some art here, so I'm going to open recent files. And then I'm just going to take all these layers of the art I already created back when I rehearsed this. I'm going to make sure that Paste Remembers Layers is on. And I'm going to paste in place. And these go down there. Great. So, like any other die line, this is the front, that's the bottom, left side, right side, back, and top. The top is upside down. That's why I made it upside down. And it's called Brass Monkey because I'm going to put a brass monkey in there. And I like the Beastie Boys. So first of all, I'm just going to export the whole image. So File, Export, Export As. We want a PNG. We want the artboards. And we're just going to call this art. Hit OK. Hit 300 DPI is good. And then take that off. So we want just the brass bit. Export, Export As. PNG, use artboards. And we're back in Blender, and let's get that art on the box. So let's split this view and create a node editor. Let's get a material on this box. Ah, there's one already. Okay. We'll call it outside. You'll see why in a second. All right, and then we're going to want to use nodes. We're in compositing. Okay, want to use nodes in, go to materials, use nodes. All right, so we have a diffuse material on there, which is what we kind of want. And then, okay, we're going to add a image texture. And then we want that image texture to be our art. Boop. And let's go to texture mode, see if that hits. Yep, there it goes. Brass monkey. So that's wrapped nicely. All right, so let's go look at this thing again up close. You probably noticed a few things. One is that the texture is going on both the inside and the outside. And two, it's just very stiff. So first off, just like other boxes, we want to add a bevel to the edges to kind of smooth it out a bit. And you see the bevel's kind of doing wacky things. So let's do less wacky things. A good way to do less wacky things is you just select just the points that you want to bevel, which are going to be these ones. We only want to bevel the bottom bits. We don't want to bevel the top bit. So we're going to add a vertex group, and we're going to call it bevel. We're going to assign. So we're going to check that they were correct. Okay, good. As I said, they're going to bevel anyway. All right, so then we're going to go to bevel, and we're going to do the vertex group. Bevel. Okay. And we don't really want much of a bevel. We can go down to like 0.03. Let's put 2 segments though. And we got a bevel on there, but we still have the black on the inside and the thing showing through. So to make the inside a real inside, we're going to have to add another kind of modifier, and that's called the Solidify Modifier. So you're going to add that. This basically allows you to make it solid. You can see you can make a thickness. And there we go. Thickness, honestly, 0.01, maybe 0.02. Doesn't need to be that thick. Now we've got a thickness to it, but we still have the inside matching the outside. So the way we change that is you go to the material index, and you can see it's 0 right now. We're going to change it to 1 on both the rim and the material. And what that means is that you can actually create a second material for the inside. And as long as it's the second material on this object, it puts it there. So 1 is the second material because it's computerese. So 0 is the first, 1 is the second. So we're going to create a second material, and we'll call that inside. So I think we have to not be on texture. So we'll be on rendered. Yeah, there you can see it. We don't have any lights yet, so there's not much of a rendering. But you can see that it's created a different look. So while we're at that, let's go start creating some lights. All right, so let's light this thing with a nice environment map. Let's go find a good one. So a good way to do it is to just hit Google image search and then I'm going to look for spherical projection. And you can see there's one right there. And then another thing I'm going to do is I'm going to go to tools. I'm going to go to usage rights, and I'm going to say label reuse with modification. So I'm going to go find a nice one I can reuse. So you can kind of grab any of these that look like kind of distorted like this. Oh yeah, I grabbed this one. This is a really, really big one, but I shrunk it down to I think 2K, because that's all you really need. So I'm going to go add a texture. Remember, it has to be environment texture, and I'm going to go open that and connect it. And let's turn the strength to 2. So there you can see the thing lit, and you can see the environment map in the background. All right, so this isn't a texturing tutorial, so I'm just going to import the materials that I already created. And you can do that by going to File, Append, going to your other Blender file, and then you can import objects, materials, whatever. In this case, materials. And I'm going to add them to the inside and outside materials. So you see you get nice metallic text on the outside. And I'll show you what that material looks like right here. you can kind of see that I have two images, one that's the metallic, and I'm using the alpha channel for that, and one that's the image itself that I exported earlier. And here's the inside material where I took a Musgrave texture and made it the bump maps, give it a little texture. Honestly, you could probably get away with not doing that. Alright, I'm going to import another thing, which is the actual monkeys that are inside the box. And I say monkeys because a cubic box will actually contain two little monkeys, as you can see right here. And you can see they have a nice little metallic texture too. Alright, now I'm going to import the set, which is a cyc, and a plane, which is illuminating the cyc, and a sun lamp, which is also adding some lighting. And I'll show you what that looks like right here. And the environment looks a little blue, so I'm going to go into my environment nodes, and I'm going to add a hue saturation and bring down the saturation of the environment texture. Alright, so I'm going to go into material view and start rigging this thing. And I'm going to get the 3D cursor on one of the back vertices, and actually it appears already to be there, so I don't have to worry about that. So, cursor is exactly where I want it to be. Let's go back out of edit mode. We're going to add Shift A armature. We'll start with a single bone. Alright, so we want that bone to be right in the middle. Our X value we want to be 0. And then we're going to tab into edit mode on the armature, and then we can scale that up, and we can go to the side view to see exactly how high we need to do that. Because this is going to be the armature controlling that back flap there. Great. And we can actually call that back. Alright, we're going to select everything, which is just that one bone. We're going to duplicate that and move it over here. And we'll call that bone left. Alright, so we actually want to make sure that that's right in the right spot. So the X should be -1 on the head and on the tail, and the Y should be 1 on the head and tail as well. Alright, then we can duplicate this bone, move it in X, bring it there. Let's get this at 1 and 1. Then we're going to take those heads and move them down. That's left. This should be right. Perfect. Alright, so let's get to rigging this thing. Tab out, we got an armature, we got a box. Go to the box, select the armature, Control P, do parent, and we're going to want it to armature deform, but we're only going to do it with empty groups. I'm going to make this a bit bigger so we can see what we're doing. And if we tab into edit mode on the box, you can go into the vertex groups, and you can see there are new ones. There's back, left, and right. And so far they're empty. So we're going to go, let's look at back, and we say assign, and it doesn't select anything. So what we want to do is we want to assign, obviously, all those top points. So let's just select them. And like any other vertex group, you just hit assign. Same thing with the left. Assign. Same thing with the right. Assign. So let's just check that. Back, select. Yep, that's what we want. Left, select. Select, that's what we want. And right. That is what we want as well. Alright, so then what you can do, which is kind of neat, is you can go, tab out of edit mode, select the armature, and you get a new mode. It's called pose mode. And that's when these go blue. And that's where you can rotate these bones and animate your object. So I'm going to rotate this in X, RX. And you can see that it rotates just the back there. Very cool. Then this, I'm going to rotate in Y, and you can see it just rotates the tab. It's actually distorting that a little bit, and we want to see if we can fix that. Alright, to fix that, you have to go into your modifiers for the box. And you can see the armature is way down here. You have to bring that onto the top. So it comes before the solidify and the bevel. Alright, so let's get posing this thing. So you can go to the bones, and you can actually realize that you can look at the rotations here. So if you rotate this in X, it does the right thing. And so we can undo that, and we can lock off all the ones that aren't X. And then this one's a little weird, because you'd think you'd rotate it in Y, but that's not what you do. You actually rotate it in Z, because I think it's gotten turned around somehow. So whatever, we'll lock all these off. And same thing here. And then these are in radians, so I'm not even going to do it exactly. I'm just going to do it visually. So we're going to go front view, and we're going to rotate this one down just like this. And we want to go a little bit further than fully 90 degrees, so this has room to go over. And so this is now minus 1.04. So this should probably be 1.04. And that's correct. Yes. And the tabs moved in the right direction. And then, so this should probably be, I'm just going to guess it's probably going to be 1. Maybe a little bit less. You can hold the shift key down to do it just slightly less. And actually, I'm going to do, because I think we're getting a little bit of an intersection here, actually make that tab just a little bit smaller. So I'm going to go into the box. I'm going to go to edit mode on the box. I'm going to select the top. Sorry, the back. So I'm going to select these. Select. And I'm just going to scale in X just a wee bit. So it's just not quite squared off. All right, and let's see what that looks like when we go back into pose mode. Good. Yeah, that's a nice, just creates a nice little gap there. And we can actually, yeah, we can pull this back just a little bit so it's not intersecting anything. Good, 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 good. Okay, so now we want to actually animate this thing. So you want to create a keyframe. So there's two ways you can do that. You can just hit I and then keyframe rotation, or you can go over to rotation and just hit I over there and it'll keyframe it. So that works nicely. So now we are on, yes, we are on frame 1. So let's go to frame 24, and then let's keyframe this open. So we'll start with the back one, and we can just do this visually. So all the way up like there, we'll fix that, and then let's do this around like this, a little bit further, and then let's copy that, because we want it symmetric, and then paste that, but don't do it negative, and there you go. All right, and then we want to keyframe all these, keyframe, keyframe, keyframe. All right, so let's see how that looks. That's about right. That is about right. Although, I notice a problem. And this is because they're all coming out at the same time. And you'll probably notice that as we do that, the flap is intersecting with, the back flap is intersecting with the side flaps. We don't want that. That's bad. All right, so how do we fix that? So we want to have the side flaps come out a little bit slower. So we can have them come out after, we can move the keyframe, we can have them come out after a little bit, or we could just delay the way they come out. So I think we'll delay the way they come out. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to go to our graph editor. And this kind of creates the curve. This kind of creates the motion curve that we have. These are the curves of the motion right here. So we're going to just scale this. This is coming from the bottom as it opens up. So we want to probably scale this and get it a little bit slower. So you can just scale. There we go. Let's see how that works. Yeah, there you see it's not really intersecting now. It's nice. Yeah, so that comes out a little slower, but then kind of speeds up as you get to the bottom. All right, perfect. Let's do the other one kind of the same way. And let's just kind of try to match them. So we can scale that. Just scale it, you know, so we have that Bezier curve kind of right to the edge. And let's see how that works. Yeah, there you go. That's nice. All right, so we can do the same over here. Just the opposite direction, of course, but we can just scale that. Great, so they should now, yep, they should now go very nicely. All right, so now let's go fix the graphics coming through the top flap. And that's actually pretty easy. You just move the armature modifier to the very beginning of the modifier stack, which I'd actually done earlier, but when I recorded this, I hadn't done it yet. So just move that. All right, now, so let's get our camera set up. Let's go back to, we're on frame 1. And let me go to the front view, because I want to start basically from the front view. And then we're going to do align camera to view. It's Control-Alt-Numpad 0. I never remember that, so I just search for it. And we got our camera. Okay, great. So I'm going to take our camera, and I'm actually going to do a number of little tricks to this. I'm going to make it a 50 millimeter, so it zooms me in even more. So I want to be way out. All right, and so you can hit GZZ to kind of go on its Z-axis. So let's do that. And then I'll tweak this a bit to just get the right framing for frame 1. for the initial frame. And so instead of animating the camera itself, I'm going to go ahead and animate to an empty, which will give me a nice rotation. So I'm going to hit Command-C, Shift-C, Alt-Home to center the 3D cursor. Then I'm going to create an empty. Plain X is fine. We're going to call this camera empty. It's going to be right on the origin. If you look, yeah, it's 0, 0, 0. And we're going to parent the camera to the empty. Go to 0. I'm going to rotate in Z with the camera empty, and you can see we kind of have a spin move around the object itself. Then I can rotate in X, and we get a nice kind of little crane move here. So that's good. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to actually create a keyframe of rotation for the camera empty, and then I'm going to go all the way to 24, and I'm going to rotate in Z, and then I'm going to rotate XX. And then I'm going to hit another keyframe for the rotation. So that's a nice little crane move as it opens. Now you may have noticed the camera may want to pull back a little bit. We can actually just go to the end here and maybe select the camera itself, and then GZZ to kind of dolly out a little bit. And actually that might work pretty nicely. And that way we've actually just framed this thing nicely, and we get this nice little crane move. That's kind of cool. I'm pretty happy with that motion. That's Alright, so let's check a few things before we animate. First of all, we can actually just play through this animation, see if it feels good in real time. And it won't always go in real time, but this is a pretty simple animation. That feels pretty good. And then the other thing we want to check, of course, is go into rendered mode and see how it's looking. We can scrub through. You won't quite get it working quite in real time. So that's actually looks pretty good. Alright, so now you can just go start to set up your render. You go to the render tab, check the sampling, check all those little wonderful settings. One key setting you want to do with animation is make sure that the sampling has a little stopwatch next to it, so you get a different grain pattern for each frame. And when you're done with that, just hit the render button. Alright, and so this is the rendering, and I have it speeded up a bit. I'm not going to keep you here for real-time rendering, but you can see all my little squares from all the little cores of my CPU. And I'm just going to say that this has been brought to you by Shaped360.com. Or should I say it's really not been brought to you by Shaped360.com, since that is a lot of what I've been working on over the past few months when I've not been doing this. So it's a web app that I've been building that allows designers to take their 2D designs and wrap them around 3D objects. And you can kind of export renderings and share full 3D online with clients. So it's kind of fun. Check it out if you get a chance. It's at Shaped360.com. Not done with it, still under development, still a lot of work to do, but going to be launching pretty soon, so check it out. And now I'm just going to show the final render, and enjoy.